Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's football show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. It is Tuesday. I'm Peter Martin. Thank you very much for joining us on the programme. And in the studio we have Alan Rough, Hugh McDonald and Darren Jackson. And here's what we're going to be talking about on today's show. Yeah, lots to discuss in the company of Roughie, Hugh and Darren. Of course, there's a full card in the Scottish Premiership tomorrow night. We'll certainly be looking forward to these games. And of course, the real contrast in style, Celtic against St Mirren. The Celtic manager, Neil Lennon, has been singing the praises of his captain, Scott Brown, ahead of this game.
Well, great maturity, and obviously in his role in the team as well. You know, he's evolved his game into, really top sort of holding midfield player now, where he's reading the game and covering the ground and breaking up attacks, prompting attacks, and his leadership qualities are invaluable to what we have here. I think it's immeasurable to put into words the contribution that he's made, over the last 10, 12 years. And he's still at 34, playing as well as ever. And I think that's testament to his professionalism and his dedication. It's not easy. It's not easy playing here, and it's certainly not easy being the captain here for the length of time he's been here, because it's a huge responsibility. But he's grown into that role, and he's really sort of taken it on, if you want to call it that, over the last, certainly even in my first time as manager. He was a great role model for a lot of the younger players, and he's just matured into even more so now.
12 years of service for Scott Brown, and he's got a barrel load of medals. I just wonder about his place in the overall Hall of Fame great players at Celtic, Darren.
Well, when you're talking about captains, obviously Billy's up there on his own, but Scott will be in the next band. I mean, I was very lucky when I was there to work under a fantastic captain in Tom Boyd, fantastic player, and Brownie's there. I think his influence he has on his teammates, the respect he has from his teammates, is unquestionable. And I think it's on and off the pitch as well. You see Kieran Tierney, I think he just idolises Brownie and everything he does. And look where Kieran's ended up, and obviously he's got the ability himself, but he's looked up to someone who he's thought, I want to be like you every single day in training. I think Scott, the desire to still improve every single day, I think Scott has that. And he's been a wonderful captain. 19 trophies is just incredible.
Yeah, and he's over the 12 years, Hugh, he's not everybody's favourite cup of tea, certainly on the park. If you're a Celtic fan, you love him. He's had to deal with adversity. He's had to deal with people writing him off as a player on countless occasions.
And I'm one of them. I'll say that. I thought at certain times with the injuries were catching up with him. He was slowing up. I questioned whether he would be the man to take Celtic forward. Yet again, I was wrong. He was precisely the man to do that. He was I think in this era of Celtic dominance, Peter, I think if you want to put one picture to the Celtic team of this era, it'd be a picture of Scott Brown. And I think it's really interesting, Darren, talking about Tierney, because just in Sunday, Frimpong had an exceptional match. And it's just a wee touch when they were going to meet the fans or salute the fans at the end. Scott Brown grabbed Frimpong and put him at the, shoved him to the forefront and saying, "No, you take a bow."
Yeah.
And I thought it was a really neat wee move, because the kid, basked in that approval. So, a hugely significant figure for Celtic.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Celtic take on St Mirren after that impressive performance against Aberdeen. Neil Lennon, the Celtic manager, just mentioned the fact that he reckons Jim Goodwin, his opposite number in tomorrow night's dugout, has actually steadied the ship at the Paisley Club.
He's done well, they're not, they're not caught adrift or anything like that. not scoring many, but they're not conceding many either. So they're well organised, and they try and play. When they can, build from the back at times. Whether they try and do that tomorrow is another thing. But he's been a steadying influence in there since he's come in.
Well, are they the whipping boys tomorrow night, Roughie?
Unfortunately, I think they will be, but they weren't as bad as what they were at the beginning of the season. I think they've all learned their lessons, being the whipping boys. They're more organised now. They're not getting turned over as much. They're getting a wee rub of the green. I don't think they'll get it tomorrow night against Celtic, so they'll have to be really well organised that they're not on the end of a thumping like a lot of other people are.
Yeah, up at Dingwall, it's Ross County against Rangers. All the focus seems to be on the Rangers captain, James Tavernier. The assistant, Gary McAllister, reckons that Tavernier is winning the fans back over, especially after the latest grumbles.
You know the guy's strength of character. I've got to say, from the minute we arrived here, he's been particularly outstanding. Very robust. I touch wood here. He's hardly missed a training session. He's been available for nearly every game, and that's something that you've got to be able to produce that when you wear the armband. Somebody that's reliable. That he's come in for a wee bits of criticism, but he can cope. It's part and parcel. It goes with the territory. You can use the criticism as a wee bit of an incentive to maybe show people. He's working extremely hard, but if you can show that you're to your teammates and your fans that you're grafting for the jersey, he'll soon win them back, and I'm sure he's won them back already.
Well, I mean, Rangers, they were at their best at the weekend, but they managed to get the win. And I think this is the difference in the mentality. And if Tavernier's having a bad game, suddenly Helander pops up with a goal.
Yeah, and if he hadn't, then he would have got a bit of pelters because he missed the penalty, and that's what fans latch onto. So like Gary saying there, he's winning them over, but he wouldn't have won them over if they hadn't scored that second goal. That's the way it goes. But I like him. I think good going forward. I think he's been quality going forward. Obviously defensively, not so good. But I've already stated my case. I think it's if you've got a wing back who's pushing forward, it's up to the defenders behind him to cover that space, and it's a team game. So I don't think they're doing that. I think they're leaving that space and looking after their own area, and that's why he's getting caught out. So. No, I think he's a good player. Yeah, I really do. Picking
up on that point, Robbie, I just wonder if there's going to be a penalty, a new penalty kick taker. Gary McAllister's certainly not letting the cat out of the bag.
I will not be telling Ross County who's taking their penalties, I'm afraid. The situation has been spoken about, obviously, but I'm not going to get anything away. Time will tell. Well, the similarities of Dingwall, you would say St Mirren, Livy, Hamilton, although they're both plastic pitches, the surface at Dingwall, I've been up there in previous work with the television. It's a great pitch, and Roy McGregor up at Ross County has always invested pretty heavily on the pitch, because of the extreme weather conditions. The pitch always plays very well, and that suits us.
Yep, so it's Ross County against Rangers. Anybody suggesting there's going to be any slip-ups there up at Dingwall?
I wouldn't think so, no. As Stephen said during the last couple of days, they won ugly at the weekend. They'd had a great performance in Europe during the week. They've won ugly, they've got 3 points, and it's a confidence booster for them. And I think they'll go up there and win. I think Gary was saying about the pitch and the facilities up. Roy McGregor does a fantastic job up there, and I think it's actually a really good place to go and play.
Yeah, absolutely. They're always welcome. He really is a first-class host, and of course a really friendly club. The only thing is, Hugh, most of the journalists always look for Inverness and Ross County to get relegated, rather unkindly, because they don't like to make the journey up because nobody's paying for their hotels and a long weekend stay over now.
No, that's all gone. That's all gone, and the old mileage doesn't make up for that, I'm afraid. Yeah, so I remember there's been many, especially a Wednesday night in the winter. The boys will not be going back down to Glasgow to 3 or 4 in the morning after all a match. Yeah, but I think, to be fair, I think most people in the press, in fact, all that I talk to, admire the efforts of those clubs to stay up, admire Rod McGregor, what he's doing, what he's trying to do. we can criticise him at times for changing managers, whatever. I wouldn't. I think he's decisive when he has to be. I think the setup there is extraordinarily good for a club of its size. So more power to their elbows.
Yeah, absolutely. There's another match that I think will get close scrutiny. It's Hamilton Accies against Aberdeen. Strangely, for maybe all the wrong reasons here, Roughie, on this one. The Dons legend Joe Harper says it's unrealistic, some of the expectation around Aberdeen. The time to judge Derek McInnes is at the end of the season. And strangely enough, I don't know about you, but Aberdeen seem to go through a period during every season where they have this little, glitch where they have bad results and the pressure is on them, and then suddenly he just pushes them up third, second place.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that long ago they were challenging Celtic, really challenging them, and then there was a space of 4 or 5 games that just went out the window, and then there was a time when they played Rangers as well, in the space of 2 weeks it went out the window as well. But no, the fans will want to be third. They'll think they have the credentials to be third, and I wouldn't be surprised if they are third at the end of it, because I think they've got reasonable players.
Yeah. Do you think the expectation should be higher for them, Darren?
I don't know if they should be higher. A third's obviously very realistic. I think over the last few years they've finished second, so fans' expectations are always going to be that's where we should finish now.
Yeah.
But it is unrealistic. But I'm sure once they get everybody back, I think Shinnie was a big loss for them because we're talking about having presence and as a captain and all that, and I think Shinnie had that with Aberdeen. Yeah. And so I think he was a big loss.
Yeah, and when you look at it, Hugh, I don't think Don's fans are realistic in the suggestion, are you going to win the league? The answer is no. What I think a lot of Don's fans are unhappy about, maybe they're new breed, maybe they're old breed, they're not having a 4-0 thumping in the first 45 minutes against Celtic or Rangers. No,
and that's certainly the case. In other cases as well, I would venture they're not happy with the record in the Cups. Although they've got to Cup finals against Celtic and lost, they'll look at the demise of Rangers and see when, since then, that Ross County won a cup, St Johnstone won a cup. They'll be saying, well, what about us? And I think that expectation of getting mauled by Motherwell in a quarter final, for example, I think that's the ones that hurt. Sunday, I think Sunday was just a case of, I think Derek got his tactics wrong as well. He has to be. I don't think he man mark against Celtic. That would be my view. And his team matched that with a terrible performance.
Derek does that quite a lot, and he's been successful with that. So I think everyone's got to take responsibility, and the manager has to take it. But it's the players. They got nowhere near Celtic in that first half. Yeah. And so the manager is set out his tactics, worked on it all week, and if players don't get near anyone to try and make a tackle, and Celtic are that good, they're going to pick you off and they're going to destroy you. So it's yes, Derek will take and Tony will take responsibility, but I think you've got to look at the players.
Okay, let's. If you think Derek's under pressure, you should try a little journey through to the capital. You could pick west or east of the city. There are disgruntled fans aplenty following Hearts and Hibs. It's Hibs against Livingston and Paul Heckingbottom. Hugh, I wonder at what point is breaking point?
I think it's just a bit off. Yeah, we know they've got a League Cup semi-final against Celtic on Saturday, but a poor result against Livingston, which is very possible given how Livingston play, and then say a hiding by Celtic, that intensifies the pressure. But I do think because of the board and Leanne Dempster, there's time for him yet. Having said that, we know that the fans are deeply unhappy, and that he really needs a result or two.
Yeah, if anything, Roughie, and you're a former Hibs player along with Darren, the point here is he's certainly not got the charisma of Lennon. I certainly don't think there's the same edge to the way Neil Lennon used to look at, for example, a draw for Hibs. He was having none of that. He changed the mentality, and I certainly think he'd a better eye for a player. Are you going to tell me that his Heckingbottom's budget's dramatically reduced, that he was maybe hampered by what Lennon was able to recruit?
No, I think like a lot of managers, I think he's not bought wisely. I don't think he's brought the right player to the club the way Lenny had. You know, Lenny brought people to the club who knew what the club was all about, whether they were in the area or not in the area, and that sometimes works. I just don't think the players that he's brought, I can't think of any who have been a really outstanding success, you know, whereas Lenny had them all fighting for each other, whether you liked what was going on behind the scenes or not, but the fans bought into that. The fans loved knowing what was happening in the dressing room. Excuse me, they loved, you know, Lenny not being happy with the performances. They bought into all that. They're not buying into what he's saying.
Yeah, and of course, you know, one of the big fights was Canberry and Lennon. That was one of those stories that was gathering pace before eventually they cut Lennon loose.
Yep.
You know, I haven't seen anything from Canberry to suggest he's not next to be cut loose.
Yeah, I mean, Lenny wouldn't have been having arguments with his top scorer for no reason. You know, he's not daft, and as every passing month and week and game goes past, you can see that Lenny had spotted something he wasn't happy with very early doors and wanted to nip that in the bud, and it's really strange. It's one of the great things about Scottish football that a guy that was cut loose and left by, we ended up left with mutual agreement, is now sitting, you know, taking Celtic forward in Europe, beating Lazio and having Celtic at the top of the league.
Yeah, okay. If you usually get a Hibs side which is down in the doldrums, then that usually sometimes can suggest that the Hearts fans are gloating at the other end of the city because their side is doing well. Well, it's a double whammy in the capital. We're going to talk about Hearts next, but we're going to talk about at least two good signings that have been made. One was a Neil Lennon signing when he was Hibs manager, which was the return of Scott Allan. We've got a signed strip from Scott Allan, and we've also got a signed strip from Stevie Naismith. You could have their top, depending, of course, on your persuasion. Here's the rules on our competition.
It's a Hearts and Hibs special competition. Simply like, share and follow PLZ Soccer on Facebook, YouTube or Twitter, and you're in with a chance of winning a signed shirt from Stevie Naismith of Hearts or Scott Allan of Hibs. Don't forget to state which one you want to win after you've hit the like, share, follow or subscribe button. Good luck!
Yep, good luck with the competition. If you're a Hearts and Hibs fan, certainly one to get involved in. You know, listen, we talked about Hibs and their problems. What about Hearts and their problems? It just won't go away. Again, Jamie Walker might be back. That's a bonus for him because week in, week out, if there's a catastrophe, Craig Levein mentions a long list of players that he's had to do without.
And I think he's got a point, Peter. When you look at Naismith, you look at Jamie Walker, you look at Suter, you look at Herring, look at Washington, at Halkett, players that would play.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And this is where I defend Craig, that the results aren't good enough, performances aren't good enough, and I'm sure he would say that himself. Going to Livingston, them being a man down, not going and winning the game is disappointing from a Hearts point of view. But when you look at that injury list, it's their best players that are injured.
Yeah.
Now I think you be judged on when you've got your full squad. Now you're never ever going to have a full squad that's fit, but when your top players are there, it gives you a chance, and then you can be judged on that.
Yeah, the only problem I would say, Hugh, is when the top players are back in the side, some of the Hearts fans have been moaning about the style of play.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to change much though, because if you've got a manager, that's the way, especially Craig's not going to wake up one morning and say, oh my goodness, I've just watched the Brendan Rodgers team and I think we should change Hearts to that. I mean, that's not going to happen. He's in his, for right or wrong, and I think once you're settled with your philosophy, you're going to tweak it a wee bit.
Yeah.
His philosophy is different from other managers. To be fair to him, it got him the Scotland job, it's got him the Hearts job. He was at Dundee United, he got a job in Leicester when Leicester in the top division. So he's got him places. I don't see any change there.
OK, I'm going to get your predictions, lads, on this ahead of tomorrow night. Celtic St Mirren, is it a big win for you, Roughie, or just a win?
3-0 for Celtic.
I think Celtic will win, particularly if you score early, it might get big.
I think Neil will change the team, boys will come in, but I think it'll be a win for Celtic, yes.
Hamilton Accies Aberdeen.
I'm actually going Aberdeen. I think they'll have even though Chipper will not be happy with the result at the weekend, Brian Rice will not be happy with Hamilton result, I think a reality check for the Aberdeen players, and they need to come down and get a win, and I think they'll get a win.
I think Hamilton might just nick something.
What, a draw?
A draw.
Roughie?
I'm going to go Aberdeen narrow win.
Narrow win. Hibs against Livingston, Roughie?
Hibs win.
No, I think it's a difficult one for Easter Road to win.
I'm with you on this, Hugh.
I think Livingston will get at least a point. There you go.
I'm going to Hibs win.
Hibs win, okay. Oh, 2 former Hibs players going for Hibs win there. Well, I'm shocked. Motherwell against Killie. Oof, I'm going to this game, Roughie, because I just think this is a cracker.
Yeah, I'm sitting on the fence with this one. I'm going to go 1 each.
I think Motherwell's exertions at the weekend, because that was a very, very tough game for them. King Kilmarnock have got a wee bit of momentum at the moment. Yeah. I would naturally go for a draw, but I think if there's any winner, I might go for Kilmarnock.
Yeah.
I'm going for Motherwell.
Yeah.
I think they'll take confidence from the weekend. Seemingly they played exceptionally well. I'm disappointed probably to lose. Kilmarnock, they're third in the league. He's turned it around, but I think I'll go for Motherwell.
Okay, anybody going for Ross County against Rangers? Okay, silence is golden apparently. St Johnstone against Hearts, Darren?
I think St Johnstone will take massive confidence, but I'm going for a draw.
Draw.
I think it's a draw as well, but really St Johnstone are in must-win even now.
Yeah, St Johnstone must win.
I think they're in must-win territory. If you look at what I think Saturday was a huge win for them on Saturday. I reckon if they hadn't won on Saturday, they might be in trouble.
Okay.
Draw for me.
Draw for you. Okay. So there you have it. It's all about opinions. Thank you to you for your opinions as well. You can give us more right across all our social media. We're more than happy to read your comments and respond to as many as we possibly can across Twitter, Facebook, and don't forget Facebook Live Monday to Friday, and of course on our YouTube channel. Enter the competition. If you're a Hearts or a Hibs fan, you could win yourself a signed Stevie Naismith or Scott Allen top. But all that remains for me to say is thanks to Roughie, to Hugh McDonald, and of course to Darren Jackson as well. And from me, Peter Martin, thanks for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.